switched up the seating again. If you see business books next to me, no you don't. These are not mine, okay? Not mine. These are mine, not mine, okay? We just recently redid our little room again. Jess isn't a big fan of my little book wall happening behind me, so we bought another bookcase. Except this time, my other bookcase is in the other room, and his is now in here. Because when he has to do video calls for work, he'd rather have his lovely books in the background and not mine, which I thought was rude. Anyway, I think it would have been cool if mine were here with my other ones. And then this also kind of blocks mine. So we're gonna try this angle out, see how it goes. It kind of looks cool with the books around me. I wish there was more over here, but the door's there now, but it's fine. What's up everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Tierney. If you are new here, hello and welcome. It is currently July 13th and we're gonna talk about all the books I've read so far this year because I didn't get to do it exactly halfway. Sorry. But we're gonna do a mid-year book tag wrap-up, whatever it's called. I don't really know. I've only read 23 books so far this year. My goal is 50. I'm currently 3 books behind, which is stressing me out a little bit, not gonna lie. So we're gonna go over all the books I've read so far this year and then maybe answer some of the like book tag questions that I've been seeing everyone doing recently, because why not? Let me know what you think of this angle, if it looks cooler. I feel like you can't see as many of my books though. Whatever, it's fine. Anyway, we're gonna get right on into it. I don't have all of the physical copies here. I did read some on my Kindle. What was I gonna say? I read both physical and Kindle books so far this year. Some of these books I also read for school, so I really have no thoughts on them, but you will see that. Anyway, we're gonna start right off. The first 3 days of the year, I read 3 books. I thought I was gonna do amazing this year because of that. Those first 3 books were the Vicious Lost Boys series by Nikki St. Croix, and that is The Never King, The Dark One, and Their Vicious Darling. I'm obsessed with these 3 books. You have no idea. And then I'm gonna skip around because I did finish it recently. The Fae Princes is the 4th book, and that's the entire series. Oh my goodness, why can't I hold these upright? They look terrifying, but they were not that scary, like at all. I loved this series with my entire being. It's a Peter Pan retelling. It's Why Choose with, her name's Winnie, is the main character, girl, and it was just so good. So like these 4 are the wrapped up version. This series, The Vicious Lost Boys, is wrapped up. I've noticed, is going to be I noticed that she is going to be writing more books like in this universe, just not about these 5 characters anymore. But yes, the first 3 were absolutely incredible. I loved all 3 of these. The 4th one kind of was it was still really good, just something about it didn't give me these vibes as the first 3. Like, I don't know what it was, but this was just a little bit of a miss. I still gave it 4 stars because it was still really good, but it just wasn't as good as all these. These were all above 4 stars and 5 stars. So yes, but I read this one recently because it came out like a couple months ago. Like a month ago. We're gonna ignore that sound. Okay. Next, I read Icebreaker. Ooh! I read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I got it as soon as it came out. I absolutely loved this book also. It was actually, I think it was my first hockey romance I read. I mean, I have other hockey romances, but I just haven't read them yet. Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is my first hockey romance. I ate this up. You have no idea. I ate it up. The banter was so good. I loved the banter between Anastasia and, oh my gosh, what's his name? Nate. Oh my gosh. Am I okay? It's getting hot in here and I turned the AC off, but I'm like, I can't have the AC on while I film because then it makes noise. Anyway, I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It was perfect in January to read this because it's ice hockey. I don't know, it's just perfect read for the year. Then the next one is the first memoir I think I've ever read that I didn't have to like read for school or anything, that I actually picked up on myself. And it was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And I loved this. I picked it up because obviously I grew up watching iCarly and I wanted to just know more about what was going on in that time, and it was just so good, so heartbreaking. Like, it was so good. I did give it 5 stars, but then I saw someone, they were like, I don't want to rate. Why do I keep hearing noises? Anyway, I saw somewhere that they don't rate memoirs because they don't want to rate memoirs because then you don't want to rate someone's life. You know what I mean? Anyway, really great book. Loved this book. After that, I decided to continue with the Twisted series and read Twisted Hate by Anna Wong. I gave this, I think, 4 stars. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite out of the series so far. I think Twisted Games is still my favorite. Have yet to read Twisted Lies. I'm hoping to read it by the end of the year. But this one is about Josh and Jules. Oh my goodness. Josh and Jules. And Josh is Ava, who is in the first book's brother. And I think that is why it like threw me. So like for the first half of this book, I was not into it because I did not like her brother at all, and I didn't really want to read about him. But then it did get interesting. I did enjoy it after that. So yeah, it was a 4-star read. Not my favorite yet, but we'll see. I'm excited to read Twisted Lies though next. That one I feel like might be my favorite one, just with what the story's about. The next one I read is currently on my bookshelf in the other room, but it is like, so I stacked them like this way, like spines facing this way and like up, and it's like at the bottom, and I didn't feel like trying to get it because then I would just be messing everything up. Everything else was easy to take out. This would have been very difficult to do, so I just didn't do it. But I wanted to also just complete the, oh, you can't see it. No, it's over here. The Cruel Prince series with How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate stories. And so it's just like this, I'll put it right here for you, by Holly Black. It's basically just like seeing a little more into Carden's life and why he became the way he was and why he hated so much. And it was very interesting, and I wish in The Cruel Prince we could have gotten more of his side of things. It would have been really interesting. Also, if you are reading The Cruel Prince, do not go into it thinking it is just an enemies to lovers book, because that is such a subplot, I feel like, in the stories, and made me not enjoy them as much because I was thinking the entire time it was going to be some like fantasy romance, and then it wasn't. It was more plot driven and politics and like all this other stuff, which was really great. I loved that, but it threw me the first time I read it because I was just like, I was just very confused and did not understand why I wasn't seeing as much romance as I was expecting because everyone hyped it up to be more romancy than it was. Just an FYI. Alright, the next one I picked it up as soon as it came out and read it basically as soon as it came out, and it is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. Now, this is Haley and Julian's story, and she is a florist in this small town, and he was a professor but had to move back home because he's going through some shit, and that's how they meet. And they actually met in high school. They're like a year or two apart in high school, in general, not just in high school. In general, okay? This wasn't my favorite Tessa Bailey book. I'm pretty sure this is my least favorite Tessa Bailey book I've read. I gave it 3.75 stars. I feel like that might be still a little too high. I don't know. It just wasn't. I didn't like the insta-love connection there. Like, it was cringy. Like, and like, he was just so awkward. And so the way he was described, he was like this nerdy, awkward professor, and then the way he like was thinking about her was just so cringy. And he started thinking that way within like the first 2 chapters, and I was like, maybe not. So I don't think insta-love is my I don't really like it. Also, the letter thing was a little weird. If you know, you know. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite. I feel like these 2 characters were just very cringy throughout the whole story. Yeah. It was still very fast-paced and a good read, but like, yeah, not my favorite Tessa Bailey book. Next, I think Larry Reads is the only one that I've seen read this, and she read it after I read it, and I just love the cover also of this book. This is Ruby Spencer's Whiskey Year by Rochelle Billow, and it is about Ruby, who decides to leave her big cushy job as a chef in New York. Yes, New York, sorry. And needs to like find herself again. She's like trying to figure her life out and figure herself out, and just is not happy doing what she's doing anymore. So she moves to Scotland for a year to write a cookbook and to just basically just wanting to like, not like a coming of age book. Like, she is like in her 30s and starting over, and then meets this other guy. But I feel like that's not even like, it's like romance, but it had so much more for me anyway, because I feel like I'm in that same place as Ruby where I have no idea what I want to do with my life. Even though I am in school to become a teacher now, it's still like in the back of my mind, I'm like, what do I want to do? Like, what will make me happy? So I really just related to this book when I read it. I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea, but I absolutely loved it and ate it up. I gave it a 4.85 stars out of 5. And it just gave me, I want to go to Scotland so bad. Like, you have no idea how badly I want to go to Scotland. So reading this, I loved it, and it really helped me, I feel like, know that I'm not alone in how I'm feeling, and that I know it can get better and everything will work out. But right now I'm just like in that weird space where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? So I just could relate to it, and the cover is beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I love, look at that little whiskey glass. I thought that was so cute. Anyway, so I definitely recommend it if you are in that weird headspace and need to just read about something kind of like that. Definitely go read this book, because I've definitely related to it. The next book I don't have with me, but I did read the physical copy of it. I read it because my coworker, who is literally my work mother, read it, and then she gave it to me and was like, you have to read this book, it is so good. And then I gave it to my other friend slash coworker who doesn't work there anymore. I gave it to her to read next because I thought she should like read it and enjoy it. And that is The Chaperone by M. Hendricks. It is a YA dystopian book, and oh my goodness, it was just, I gave it 4 stars, but like, or 4.25, oh my gosh, 4.25 stars. I do still think about this book, and like I do, me and my work mother will randomly talk about it because it was just like so good, and I just, I wish the ending was different, like so badly. I wanted there to be at least like 100 more pages, and then it be like this huge, oh my goodness, I can't say anything because I feel like I'll ruin it, but you should definitely go read this book. It's a YA book, and basically, so there's like old America and new America, and this girl is in new America right now. There is still an old America, but the new America is like considered the South of all of America. Ow, that hurt. And in new America, you have to have a chaperone. Girls, as soon as they like become a woman, get their period, they get a chaperone, and that woman, that person is with them throughout every single day. Like, they have to walk them to school, they're not allowed to drive, all this stuff. So I was getting super angry reading this book. Literally for the first 50 pages, I wanted to throw this book across the room. It was getting me so angry. And then all of a sudden, girls, like you see on the news, these girls start disappearing and getting taken and like all this stuff, and you wonder what's going on, and then you figure out what that actually means. I can't really say more. I want to, because I want to talk to somebody about this, but it was just so good, and it was definitely different genre than I'm used to, I feel like, reading. I'm not used to reading those types of books, but it was really good. Definitely, I recommend reading that book. Next, I read Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. I don't know if I put in for like a Goodreads giveaway or something, because I got this and one other book in the mail randomly, and the only place that has my like address is Goodreads. So I was very confused, but I got it from between the chapters, like this little sticker right there, and it was like an arc. It was an arc, and I was just like super intrigued because I randomly got it. I wasn't expecting it, just randomly had a package from Penguin Random House at my doorstep, and I'm like, oh, cool. It was really good. I gave it 4 stars, and it's about this girl, Georgie, who was a personal assistant out in LA, and then her employer, is that the right word? The person she was the personal assistant for decides to retire basically and not need her anymore, and basically she has to move back home and figure out her life, which also kind of goes along the lines of Ruby Spencer's Whiskey Year, where like she's trying to figure out what to do with her life. So yeah, but her parents are away on a RV trip like across the country because that's what they do, and so someone else was like living in the house, and her parents forgot to mention that to either of them, which is this guy Levy is living there, and he was like the town bad boy back in the day, and people still are not they don't like him that much. So that was fun. I actually enjoyed it. It was really good, and I wasn't expecting it, you know? I feel like this is like a book not really talked about, and so I like picking up books that are not talked about as much, because then I get to bring it to your attention and I get to form my own opinions on it before I see others. So I definitely recommend this book. It was really, really good. Next, I read this book because I did a project on it for school last semester, and I read it on my Kindle just because I needed to know, I feel like, about the book that I was writing a midterm on, which is Dogman by Dave Pikely. I don't really think I need an explanation for that. I read it because I was in this reading class and we had to figure out how to make a lesson plan for like a specific person, and I used this kid that we did our midterm on who was an English language learner, and was like struggling with one of the Magic Treehouse books. And so I chose Dogman because it's a graphic novel and it will help with his comprehension a lot more. That's literally why I chose it and read it, so I had the information on what to write about for my paper. Moving on, I also read this for school, so I have no thoughts or opinions, I have thoughts and opinions, but I don't have like a rating for it because I did read it for school, and it's Educating Esme, which is this woman, Esme's basically diary of her first year as a teacher. I definitely think it was helpful to read it and to see that it's okay to struggle as a teacher. Yeah, it was definitely very interesting to see, like, and she was also a teacher in like a very not so great school district and school, so it was just interesting to see all of her thoughts and what she did to like overcome everything, and to show that like caring will help your students become better learners and all that kind of stuff, and making the classroom fun will also help your students learn better and not just sticking to the curriculum and all that kind of stuff. So it was cool. Definitely if you're going to be a teacher, I'd recommend reading it for that reason, to just get some more insight on what it's like to be a teacher for your first year anyway, because first year teaching is definitely going to be the hardest, I feel like, and I'm actually terrified. So there's that. Next, I read the first book in the Shadow and Bone series, which is I read the first book in the Shadow Bone series, which is Shadow and Bone by Leah Bardugo. It was really good. I read it because the second season of the show came out, and I wanted to read the entire trilogy and then read Six of Crows and everything before watching it again, because I've heard it just mixes literally everything and it doesn't stick with the story. But reading the first one, I was brought back to all of the first season. Like, I was remembering everything, and then we did actually go back and start rewatching it, me and my fiance, because Jess has never seen it before. And it was really interesting because I was reading it and I was like, wow, they actually pretty accurate, I feel like, for the first season of the first book, which I feel like not a lot of shows and movies do that. So I was pleasantly happy, but I know the second season of the show is not as following the book. You know, when you make a TV show or movie, you literally have the source material, the book, and fans who have read the book will watch this show exactly how it is written. So just make it right. Bring our visions to life, basically, is what we're asking you to do. Don't change stuff, because that's just messed up. Okay? That's my little rant on movies and TV show adaptations. The next one, I don't have the physical copy because I read it on my Kindle, because I got an advanced reader copy of it that I had to review, and it was The Bitten Witch by Whitney Morsillo. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. And this was actually one of my first wolfy books I've ever read. I've watched Vampire Diaries, which has wolves in it, and Teen Wolf and all that stuff, but I've never read a book like that, and I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it left off on a cliffhanger, and I'm really intrigued to read the rest of it and see what will happen with that story. I don't think I'm gonna have any time for questions or anything because I'm talking way too much about this. The next book I read was Come Morning Light by Charlotte Day, which is also I got an advanced reader copy of as an ebook to review it and all that kind of stuff. I gave it, I'm pretty sure, 5 stars. Yeah, 5 stars. I loved it, and it was so different from all the regular romance formulas and tropes that people have been doing recently. And so if you've seen the second Knives Out movie on Netflix, it reminded me so much of that, and I don't know what it was. And like I said with Secretly Yours, I hated the insta love trope, but with this book I ate it up. I don't know what it was. I really enjoyed it. It was an easy read. It went by super fast. Loved it. It was so good. I don't know what else to say. It also left off on a cliffhanger, so I need to know what happens, because that cliffhanger gave me so much anxiety. You have no idea. Anyway, the next book I also read for a class, so there's no rating or anything. And it is a kid's book, actually, and is The Music of Dolphins by Karen Hess. We read it basically because of the format of the book and how it is written. So there's italicized font, and then it's really big font, and then it kind of gets smaller as you get into the middle of it, and then it goes back to being big again toward the end, and not as structured. There was a whole big discussion about why it's like that. I'm not gonna go too much into it in case you want to read it, but it was very intriguing why the author wrote it the way that she did, and it makes a lot of sense. So very easy read. I read it in literally like 2 hours. So the next book literally has my heart, and I think about it every single fucking day. Every single day. Like, I cannot go a day without thinking about something about this book. Oh my goodness. Like, 1,000,000 stars out of 5. Like, 1,000,000 fucking stars. And that's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Oh, this book. I got my friends to start reading it. My one friend is in the middle of it right now. She just got to the part where Violet, oh, this might be spoilers. Spoiler warning. Violet got Tierney and Darna, and oh my god, this freaking book. I have no words. Like, I just love this freaking book so much. This is the best book I have read all year, and probably in the longest time. Like, I read the ACOTAR series 3 years ago, and I have used to think about that series every single day, like all the time. And now I think about this book all the freaking time. Absolutely loved it. I have nothing more to say. If you are watching this and you want to discuss Fourth Wing after you've read it, please, I need people to like talk about this book with and discuss all my theories, because oh my, okay, moving on. The next book was also for school. It is What We See When We Read by Peter Mendelsohn. It literally just talks about what we see in our heads when we're reading. Basically it. No readings for that one. Alright, then I read the second book of the Vineyard Vine series, which is Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is A Marriage of Convenience. I loved this one so much more than the first one. Like, this was almost a 5-star read for me. It was a 4.75 star. Absolutely loved it. Ate it up. Loved the two main characters a lot more also. They weren't as cringy as the first ones. And I loved the fake dating trope just a lot more because they don't really like each other. Anyway, loved this. I also read it for class because I wrote a paper on it. Fun fact. But I actually was going to read this soon, so that's why I read it. Next, I read, this was also for class, Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. Bechdel? I think I said that right. I don't know. This is just like a memoir, but in graphic novel form. It was very interesting. It was a little hard to get into at first because of the way I'm not used to reading graphic novels. But it was very interesting. But I have no ratings. I mean, for school purposes, it was great to read for school. It was fun and easy, and I read it within a day. So, next one I read was also for school, but I did it in like a book club form because I needed other people to read it and then talk about it and talk about how they read it, and which was the first book of the Percy Jackson series, which is The Lightning Thief by Rick I can't say his last name. Rick Riordan. I don't know if I said that right, but it was great. I don't know why I never read these later, like earlier. This was so much fun, and I love Greek mythology, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series. Like, I loved this. It was so much fun. I remember watching the movies, but when I said that, my friends were all like, that's funny, that's a joke. So I'm excited to continue reading this series and then watch the show on Disney Plus because the show is coming out soon. So I think everyone knows what this book is about. I don't really need to go into it, but I loved it, and I actually liked doing the paper for it as well. Oh my god, I'm done. Those are the 23 books I have read so far this year. Will I hit 50 at the end of the year? I really hope so. I really do. I'm in the middle of a book right now, and I'm gonna start another one very soon because I'm reading it with my friend Emma. Anyway, we're not gonna go into any book tag questions like I thought I was going to because this took a lot more time than I thought it was going to. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books that I've talked about also today in this video, and if you did, what are your opinions on them? I'd love to know. If you read Fourth Wing, please message me somewhere. Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Just, I need to talk about it with people desperately because my friends are still not done with it, and I need to talk to people. Like, my friend's texting me about her thoughts, and I'm like, yeah, and I can't say anything, and I'm like, Let me know what you think of this as setup. I know it completely changed again, but I think I like this a lot more. I think it's gonna look cute. Now I get to go wedding dress shopping! I'm so excited. Okay. That's so funny, my friend just texted me, I want Iron Flame already, and I haven't even finished Fourth Wing. Same. I'm hoping, because we got these arcs at Barnes & Noble, like Barnes & Nobles get arcs, as you've seen from my book hauls. So I got this as an arc there, and I'm hoping that we get Iron Flame because I will take that as soon as it comes. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. This book has become my entire personality, and I'm not sorry for it at all. Maybe I'll do like a book tag at the end of the year. We'll do like a reading wrap up and a book tag to talk about what like my favorites, what I'm anticipating, like all that fun stuff. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below for more fun book videos coming soon. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you to all the new subscribers coming in. I'm so excited. Like, I'm just in my content era right now. Like, I'm so for making so much content right now. Like, I'm just so eager to it. So I'm really glad you are all here, and thank you so much for those who've stuck around. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye!